Hay un lugar para activación física o un gimnasio pequeño.
Dr. Raúl Palacios shows me around Tijuana's public rehab center, Centro de Integración Juvenil. He says he's seeing more patients abusing marijuana, mostly Mexicans with visas or dual citizenship, who have access to medical marijuana in California.
La pueden conseguir fácilmente en Estados Unidos.
They can get it easily in California, and they bring it back with them in small quantities, generally for their own consumption. I don't doubt that they share it with their friends, too, but not on a large scale.
It's illegal to move marijuana from the U.S. to Mexico, just as it's illegal from Mexico into the U.S. But arguably, it's easier to smuggle southbound. You can drive into Tijuana without ever speaking to a Mexican official or pulling over. Vehicle inspections are sporadic. And we are now in Mexico. On a recent Tuesday, patients at Tijuana's rehab center watched an instructor describe the brain damage caused by different drugs. Some patients were there because of self-described addictions to California marijuana. I interviewed some of them and their parents. They asked me to refer to them only by their first names, because there's still a strong stigma associated with smoking marijuana in Mexico. So, Antonio, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how did you end up here?
Por mi mamá, by my mom. She told me that I got a problem with drugs, and so she sent me here.
Antonio has been using harder drugs like crystal meth and ecstasy. But it all started with marijuana. He says he smoked it from sunrise to sunset. Like many Tijuana residents, his go-to was medical marijuana from California.
La calidad de la marihuana es mucho mejor allá.
It's better over there, he says. Mexican marijuana has a roughly 2% concentration of THC, the drug's main psychoactive ingredient. The stuff grown in California is between 15 and 30% THC.
O sea, eso le gusta mucho.
Antonio's mother, Yolanda, says California's medical marijuana made her son hallucinate. The rehab center staff confirmed her beliefs. High doses of marijuana can cause some people to experience hallucinations and paranoia. She chokes up as she talks about her son.
Pues para una mamá que más.
For a mother, what more can I ask than for my kids to be okay, healthy, and be happy?
She says Antonio became convinced people were filming and following him.
Y no quiere que hablemos, me escribe.
He doesn't want to talk to me. He writes to me. He writes down his thoughts because if we talk, he thinks it's going to be published online. I don't know. All of this is just so horrible.
When it comes to marijuana, Mexico is a much more conservative country than the U.S. Less than a third of people in Mexico are in favor of legalizing pot, compared with more than 60% in the U.S. Earlier this year, President Enrique Peña Nieto said he was open to the idea of legalizing marijuana for medical use.
El uso de la marihuana con fines médicos y científicos.
Dr. Palacios, the director of Tijuana's public rehab center, says the president's message spurred an increase in marijuana use this year.
Y eso hace que baje algo que se llama percepción.
It reduced something called perception of risk, or the idea that the substance can cause harm.
Palacios says the strong potency of California pot makes patients prone to symptoms of psychosis, such as paranoid delusions.
Eso hace que entonces.
So its psychoactive capacity, or psychoactive effect, is more damaging.
Another patient at the center, Rodrigo, says he started hallucinating after smoking medical marijuana from California.
Yeah, I had the paranoia. I thought I was being followed. They're gonna call me.
He says marijuana is more expensive in the U.S., but he always preferred to get it over there.
I have friends in Mexico City that they came over here. They didn't like to smoke marijuana, but I gave them the marijuana that I use in the U.S. and they really like it. It was more powerful. It gets you higher.
Rodrigo started smoking pot after it was legalized for medical use in California. He thought it couldn't be harmful if a U.S. state was recognizing its health benefits. At the time, he was going to school in San Diego.
I was really shy, and when I started smoking, I was more, how can I say?
Outgoing?
Yeah, outgoing. I was more outgoing, and I like that.
He says if marijuana is legalized for recreational use in California, the temptation and the risk for Tijuana residents like him is going to go up. Jean Guerrero, KPBS News.